Hello, everyone, and welcome in. This is Aaron St. Dennis, the FF Mad Scientist, and welcome to Rat Pack Fantasy Football. Had to significantly trim the intro there. It was 35 seconds. It's down to 14. I was getting copyright disclaimers on YouTube. So we had to trim it under 15 seconds. So everybody's name pops up a little bit quicker than it used to. But as we get bigger, we'll work that out later. Well, anyways, as I said, this is Rat Pack Fantasy Football. This week, we will be continuing on with my co-host intros, leading into Wednesday night, our first live week one preview, tentatively scheduled for 8 p.m., I believe. But for today, we're doing an intro series, and we will be introducing my newest co-host, Tim Riley. Thanks for joining me, Tim. How's it going?
It's going good, man. I'm excited for the season. Finally, it's upon us. Working a couple articles here and there, and I'm excited to brought us all together for this, man. This is exciting. I love it.
I'm excited for the season to be over. Already. We haven't even started. I'm like, is this thing over yet?
That's the best part.
I just, you know what? I woke up this morning and I've compulsively checked my phone to make sure I'm not on the clock anywhere. I'm like, I think my drafts are all done, right? But just compulsive. I was saying to someone, I think it was Jesse I had on yesterday, I think it's the first time I haven't had a draft going in some form since like February.
Yeah, once I finish my work league, because I'm like the football guy over there, so I have to man it or I commission it. So once I finish running all that and putting all that together, then I'm pretty much done for the year, and I can just relax and wait for football to start and, be happy that I don't have Travis Kelce on my rosters right now.
Oh, I've got a lot of Travis Kelce on my roster. Let's not talk about that. Let's move on. It's funny though, because you say you had your work league or whatever. I was just talking about that before the show, saying that it's funny. We all seem to have our family, friends, and work leagues as the last ones. And after doing, okay, so my first drafts were rookie drafts. They started up right after the draft in April, May. So after doing roughly 4, 5, 6 months of all analysts, industry type drafts, it's kind of a transition the last week there to go to family and friends leagues where it's going, what is this chaos? Like, we had a single QB family league. I punted quarterback. Single QB, I think in the first 2 rounds, we had 9 quarterbacks go.
Oh, my God.
In the first 2 rounds. But so it was on Yahoo, and they gave me an F for my draft report card. If you look at it, like, so the first 4 rounds were like half quarterback and half tight end. So I just said I'm punting quarterback and tight end. So my first 11 picks are like running back, wide receiver, running back, wide receiver, I have literally 12 wide receivers and running backs and still ended up with Dak as my quarterback. And I think I've got Njoku as my tight end. Like, I have the most stacked running back wide receiver room you could ever see. And they're like, oh, he has drafted 8 wide receivers for some reason. This is an easy F. And I've gone, fuck, you've never heard of depth? Like, what, I'm supposed to overdraft just as they did? Like, what do you want me to do? You want me to use a 3rd round pick on Daniel Jones in a single QB? Like, fuck off.
Yeah, absolutely not. There's no way. Yeah, I don't know what it is about these work home leagues, man. I get into them and it's like, I don't know. I feel like I don't know how to fantasy football. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm wrong, and like I just have no clue what I'm doing.
But like I said that I played poker for a living before this, and I always said I used to play like professional casino tournaments, and then I'd come home and I'd play with my buddies on poker night, and it's like, what the fuck game are we playing? It's like you're playing a different game. I always said in poker, it's easier to play at a table full of experts because experts play things by the book for the most part. Family and friends and work leagues, it's fucking chaos. Like, I have no idea what's going on. I seen, what was it? 1 QB work league the other day, picks 2, 3, and 4 were the 3 quarterbacks in 1 QB. And I'm going, what the hell are we doing? I don't even know. So, all right, I guess enough bitching about my family and friend leagues. I guess we'll move on. We'll start with the first question here. How did you get your start in both fantasy football and the industry itself?
Fantasy football, I started with the work league. I was more into basketball, and then they just started a fantasy football work league, and I got into it. And I would
When
play.
Did you transition over to football? How long ago?
When I was 23? I'm 30 now, so yeah, about 7 years ago.
I was about the same. I was always hockey for the longest time. And then even I got into it even later than you. I always casually played football, but I only really got hardcore into football during COVID because the NHL was shut down for so long. And football was the only thing going. So my work league happened and we said, screw it. But so sorry, go ahead. I interrupted you there. My bad.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah. And then when about 3 or 4 years ago, I discovered Dynasty, and I've been getting into that. But as far as getting into the industry, pretty much I just got on Twitter, and I was never had a Twitter before. And then me and some friends decided we wanted to make a podcast. I was like, okay, well, how can I connect with people? And
Twitter. Yeah, me too.
Twitter's the way to go. And
it's the way to go. I hated it, but it's the way to go for this.
Yeah. And I just started following as many fantasy football content profiles or profiles as I could. And
anything with FF or NFL in it, hey?
Yeah, that's absolutely. What I did. And I just followed a random list of people, and hopefully they follow me back, communicate a lot, be on the people's Twitter posts, and just go back and forth with them until somebody's like remembers you.
It's funny you mentioned something earlier though, and I found that is really what kicked me into gear. Even when I played family, friends, work leagues, it was always redraft. And it was like, I was psyched up for the last 2 weeks of August. And then until my team was eliminated or until the season was over, then it was like, oh, I don't give a shit anymore. The real thing that stepped up was 2 or 3 years ago when I got into Dynasty, and all of a sudden I got into rookies and because college I only watch Michigan and Big Ten. Now it's like you got rookies, and that's what I found really did it. The NHL closing down and Dynasty. You get into Dynasty. I have some friends in my work Dynasty league where a few of them you could just tell it's like come off season. I'm like, oh, these guys aren't going to survive. They're not into it. Yeah. They don't care. They're redraft players. And sure enough, within 2 or 3 years, those 2 or 3 guys have been like, I think I'm going back to redraft. So
yeah, it's not for everybody. It's for the real diehards that just need something to fill the void in their life.
Yeah, it's for those people who go to shady little towns in Ohio during the off season, where there's nothing. Yeah. There's nothing in the entire city going on, but there's 100 people in George's bar.
It's crazy, man, because I'm pumped and I'm excited for the expo, and my friends are all like, "Why are you going to Ohio in the middle of the summer?" I'm like, there's a convention kind of a thing. It's a conference, don't worry about it. All right.
Did you get that when you came back? I posted a ton of pictures on like my Facebook with different people, and they're like, oh, great picture. I feel like I should know who that is, but I don't. Like a few people in my work or family league were like, oh, I recognize, Matt Harmon or, a couple of the bigger names, but people are like, is that someone famous? And I'm like, kind of.
Like micro famous, I suppose.
Yeah. Depends what circle you're in. It's famous to me, man. It was a big deal to me.
It means a lot. All right.
Yeah. All right. Where are you now? Basically, just give me the instead of just the cliff notes, expand fully. Where are you? Where are you writing? Where are you doing shows? Any kind of content, anywhere you're working. Just lay it all out there.
All right. So speaking of where I'm writing, the FF League winners, Thomas Christopher, he put a post out saying that he was looking for writers, and I submitted, a piece of writing to him, and he hired me onto the FF League winners. And it was just super random. We didn't really know each other, and he liked what I wrote, and he got me my start. And now I'm working for the FF League winners still. I'm going to be putting out their roster cloggers weekly article coming after week 1, and then.
It's crazy though how fast it goes, because I literally did the same thing like 18 months ago. It was a random post from an account that I don't even know if I followed, and I'm like, I should apply to this. And then I'm like, they're never. And then he liked my work, and I was like, oh, this is a thing. But that's how it goes. So, all right,
yeah, we definitely didn't follow each other. It was like a retweet from somebody else, and I was like,
yes,
hey
exactly.
man, whatever. I got time to kill. How much can I write?
Exactly.
And so now I work for them. I work for the Dynasty Football Factory. I'm putting out their start and sit weekly articles as well. That should be up tomorrow. So check it out if you can when you got the time.
What was it? You cut out quickly. I heard DFF, and then you said the name of the article cut out.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Dynasty Football Factory, DFF. I'm writing their weekly start sit articles.
Oh, okay. Start sit.
And,
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so that's a fun one. It's probably my favorite series that I've had the pleasure of writing. So I'm writing that. That's going to be cool. It's going to help people win leagues. That's what I'm all about. And I also have my own podcast, which is kind of on a little bit of a hiatus right now, but the Fantasy Frontline. So I'm podcasting there as well.
All righty. Do you find the sit starts are a bit difficult? Like I've done one going. This is my second year. I found last year when I said to start a guy, they were 95% hit rate. When I said sit a guy, half the time they were a dud, half the time they absolutely blew up. I'm not great with the sits sometimes. Sometimes I just rely too heavily on the matchup, and it's like, you know what I found I was the worst with? Freaking tight ends. I'd say sit this guy and he'd get one touchdown. And with one touchdown as a tight end, that's all that matters. So,
look.
Do you find
we all
interesting for you?
Oh, it's so fun. This is my first year doing it. So I'm really intrigued to see how it plays out. I got a couple guys that, I'm really low on, so I try not to be too biased or anything. And it's really an interesting dynamic when it all comes together. But yeah, I think I'm fairly confident. I know tight ends is tough, man.
Nightmare.
I feel like the number one tight end ranker, like that guy needs to get paid money because that's an impossible task.
I work for the number one tight end ranker from 2022, Rich King at King Fantasies for 2021. But I was having that conversation because I'm in the ECR on Fantasy Pros now, and I was looking at my. It shows you like your metrics and where you ranked it, or where it breaks it down to where you rank per position and all that. And that was my struggle right there, tight end. I was terrible at tight ends, and I was. You know what the funny part is? I don't even play that much IDP. I was like 6th best in the world at IDP, and I don't know how.
What?
IDP and kicker. Maybe I'm overthinking the other positions, but tight end I find is so random because all it takes is one touchdown and it ruins everything. So
yeah, absolutely. And one touchdown, and you got a top 12 tight end, and it's ridiculous. I'll give you a little sneak peek of my tight ends. I'm sitting Freiermuth. I'm sitting Kincaid. I'm sitting Chig O.
Oh, where's my article? I've got just a sec. I want to bring up my article. I've got one published too.
Why you bring it up? Why you bringing it up? My starts. I'm starting Kyle Pitts. Believe the hype. Never forget. Arthur Smith is not a good coach, but I hope he's learned his lesson. Greg Dulcich. I'm starting Greg Dulcich, especially with Jerry Jeudy possibly out. I think that's a smash. And then Cole Kmet. Fresh off the contract, I need Kmet to finally get more involved and reach that 100 target ceiling that I think he's capable of.
One sec, I'm loading here. I know for sure Freiermuth is my sit, because the theme of my entire article was basically sit every Steeler. I love the Steelers. I was on the Steelers all off season. Literally, I'm the guy on every Steeler all off season, and then the first week it's like, yeah, let's just sit every Steeler you own because I don't want anyone across the board. When I did my matchups across the board, the Niners were bad against, or were a bad matchup for everything. In just a sec,
that's what I was looking at. I was like, oh, you got the Niners. Oh, George Pickens, that's a sit. Freiermuth, that's a sit. The only one who's probably going to be worth anything is Najee, because he can catch passes, but he may not even get 60% of the touches. So who knows?
It's a rough week. My starts were Ferguson against the Giants, Higbee against the Cardinal, or against the Seahawks. I I have it as Logan Thomas, but I put insert Commanders tight end here against the Cardinals. That's a matchup one if you're desperate.
Cole Turner is the guy in Washington.
Oh, yeah, that could work. My 3 sits were, and I noticed a spelling error in my 3 sits were Freiermuth against the Niners, Chig against the Titans, and Dalton Schultz against the Ravens. So some of them were similar, but we both agree on Freiermuth, which means Freiermuth is absolutely going to go off this week and just ignore us.
That's all that means.
Yeah, that's
Freiermuth is dropping 25 this week. He's going to be the tight end 1.
Next question. We'll get some real football here. This one's going to be easy from your background, but what's your favorite team and favorite player, both current and of all time?
Ooh, current and of all time? All right.
Yeah.
Favorite team, LA Rams. You see, I got the...
it's not the Niners. I was guessing the Niners.
Don't disrespect me like that, Aaron. All right. Favorite player is going to be right now Aaron Donald, surefire certified Hall of Famer, and it's Aaron Donald. If not Aaron Donald, if I'm going to go other team player right now, it's Justin Jefferson. He's just electric. Love to watch him play. Favorite former player is going to be Marshall Faulk, actually. Greatest show on turf.
I was trying to think back to that. I was going to say Kurt Warner, but I couldn't remember who else was on that team. Was it Torrey Holt?
Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce, Orlando Pace, Kurt Warner, London Fletcher. Oh, man, we had some Dre Bly. We had so many good players, and that's really what got me into football to start. My stepdad came into my life, and he was a Tennessee Titans fan, and I was like, I don't like this guy coming into my house, so we're gonna go
let's just cheer against this motherfucker.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Is that the one where they tackle, was it use check on the 1 or Y check?
I think it was Derek Mason they tackled.
Oh, was it? Okay.
It was
the
like
Rams
1
win
yard
that, right?
Yep.
The Rams won it, right? Yeah, I can
Sir.
remember. All right. Of all the formats and leagues you play in, what's your favorite? Whether it be, format. What do you like? Superflex, Vampire,
Dynasty, Superflex, tight end premium. At least 10 starters. Any less than 10, I'm out.
That's the only thing I've liked about my family and friends league. I mean, they played out like Superflex with the way everyone drafted, but I like playing in after a whole off season of playing in Superflex where it's a quarterback fight. It's nice to get into a league where theoretically you don't have to fight over quarterbacks. But having said that, 9 quarterbacks went in the first 3 rounds of my family draft, so doesn't matter. Fantasy football time. What is one must-have player for you in drafts and one must-avoid player?
Oh, man, if you guys know me, which I hope you do by now from, Aaron's podcast and my podcast and just being on Twitter. If you know me, you know I'm all about Deontay Johnson. I have been all off season. You guys have to own him. He is the target hog. He is the one to have in Pittsburgh, and it's really not close.
Huh? Bench him week 1. I said the same thing all offseason. I want Deontay, but bench him week 1. So just ignore what I said.
I couldn't bring myself to sit Deontay, so I sat George Pickens instead.
I didn't either. I didn't sit Deontay either, but I sat every other Steeler.
Yeah, it's Deontay for me. I think he's surefire 120 targets this year. Yeah, I don't think there's a way that doesn't happen. So I'm going to follow the volume you can get in the 6th, 7th, 8th round of your drafts. Take Deontay.
That's another one. Every time my Yahoo grade, he's always my most overdrafted player. And it's like, you took Deontay Johnson has an ADP of 98 overall, and you took him at 72. Well, your ADP sucks. That's not my problem. Like, fix your fucking ADP. Everywhere else, he goes in the 60s and 70s. Like, fix your broken ADP, Yahoo, instead of just shit talking me in my draft report. Like, come on, fix it. Okay, well, who's a must avoid for you?
Must avoid right now at ADP. I don't hate the player. I hate the ADP, and it's going to be Breece Hall. They brought in Dalvin Cook, and they gave Dalvin Cook. They gave Dalvin Cook a reasonable amount of money, a very substantial amount of money. I think he got like $9 million, if I'm not mistaken. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's close to. I don't think it's double digits. It's somewhere between 8 and 10.
Yeah. Yeah. So Dalvin Cook got a reasonable amount of money, and he's going to eat into the workload because he's not completely finished as long as he stays healthy. Plus, Brees Hall is coming off his ACL, and it's just a recipe for disaster. Taking Brees Hall where he's currently, where his ADB currently is, which I believe is right before the fourth round. I think he's got an ADP of like.
I feel like he's a 3-4 turn player, which I'm out. No thanks.
Yeah, no, I'll pass. If I can get him in the fifth round, then we can start the conversation. But in the third, fourth, no, thank you. I'm good.
All right. I don't know how many you have, but let's do a few bold predictions. If you got 2 or 3, anything.
I don't know how bold this is. We're gonna go. Bold prediction number 1 is Jahan Dotson is going to outscore Terry McLaurin points per game.
Oh, I'm all over that. All fucking over it. I don't know. That's bold in casual leagues, not in my drafts. In my drafts, I'm all over Dotson, man.
Which is
all
crazy.
About him.
It's crazy because I truly believe Terry McLaurin is a better receiver than Jahan Dotson. I think
Terry's just mid. I think he's just kind of.
From an NFL perspective, not a fantasy football perspective.
Yeah.
From an NFL wide receiver perspective, Terry McLaurin is arguably top 10.
Oh, yes. I don't know. See, I think Dotson does everything good, but I've always been the low guy on Terry all around. I thought he was just a beneficiary of having nobody else in town, but Dotson, I'm all over Dotson, so I won't fight you on that one.
We're gonna see. I really like Dotson this year. New offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy. He's gonna look to make a name for himself outside of Patrick Mahomes. Obviously, Terry McLaurin has a turf toe issue. He's expected to go, but it's gonna put a damper on.
It's gonna be a problem.
Running.
Turf toe lingers, man. I don't know how many times I'm driving around at work and I'm like, oh, Dotson, I got to go trade for Dotson. Who has him in this league? Oh, I own him in that league. Okay, how about this? Oh, I own him in that league too. Who owns him? Oh, I own him in that league. So it's like I can't trade for him because I own him already.
Okay, I got a real quick question. I know we're kind of getting there on time, but I got time if you got time.
Yeah.
What would you trade Dotson away for? It has to be a first, right? Like,
yeah, I would say
like
he's probably worth it.
Tutus doesn't get it done.
If you own Dotson, Superflex, yeah. Well, because in my leagues, I think he went the year he was drafted in Superflex, he was a first round pick in a lot of my leagues, like late first rounder. So I would say even next year, unless you really, it depends. It's probably a first rounder. And I don't even know if it's a late first rounder, I don't know if I take a late first round. Like if I can get a top 6 and I got a shot at a quarterback or Marvin Harrison or some of these stacked running backs, but you give me a top 8, probably I'd say I'd take it. But you give me a back end first rounder. We've seen this though. Every year they say this draft's going to be stacked, and we get there and the last 3 or 4 picks around 1 are like, not really.
I'm sold on this draft.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I saw Keon Coleman the other day playing for Florida State, caught 3 touchdowns, and he's an absolute monster, and he's not even the top 2 wide receiver in his class. So you could probably get him at the 110 this year. You know what I mean?
But then you got to factor in injuries and how many players don't come out that we thought would, and it's kind of scary. But yeah, probably a first rounder. All right, what's your next one? What do you got?
All right. Next one, I got Rashad Bateman leads all Baltimore wide receivers in targets. I know this isn't going to be popular for a lot of people, and understandably so. I really like Rashad Bateman. I like the profile. I like the size, the skill set. Zay Flowers is very good. I'm not denying that. Zay Flowers is really good at football, but I think he's more of a Deebo Samuel kind of guy in a sense that he's a playmaker versus a really good wide receiver. And I think Rashad Bateman can 100% be that guy, the go-to guy for Lamar Jackson when they need a first down, when they're looking for chunk plays, a deep end or a deep cross. that's more Rashad Bateman's territory. So I think it's my bold prediction that Rashad Bateman, if he stays healthy, leads all Baltimore wide receivers in targets.
I was a Bateman guy, but I'm pretty impatient with these guys. And a year or two of injuries and underproducing, I was out. And then you add in Zay Flowers, and I'm the Zay Flowers guy now. I just see how good he looks in training camp, so I can see it totally being possible. But my horse that I chose to saddle up with on the Ravens is Zay Flowers. But I'm not, like, if you had told me that Zay Flowers was a bust and Bateman's the value, I wouldn't argue with you. I just, like I said, I went the other way.
Like, it's,
you got a third one here?
Yeah, I do have a third one.
No, sorry. Go ahead. Finish your sentence.
I think it's 50-50. I think Zay is really good at football and he can, make plays in the open field. I just worry that he's not going to have the size to win one-on-one against, the bigger physical cornerbacks.
But yeah, I think he's a slot receiver. But that's worked out well for like Cooper Kupp.
Oh, yeah. It definitely
All right, what's your last one?
Last one is going to be Aaron Rodgers does not finish as a top 12 quarterback this season. I don't think it's too bold, too hot of a take, but I'm not completely sold on Aaron Rodgers in New York.
For me, that's common sense. I don't know if he finishes as a top 20 quarterback. I'm out on him completely.
I'll give him like QB 18. Okay,
I
will
15 to 18.
Top 15, right. top 15. He won't finish top 15. It's just the run scheme over there. They're a run heavy team with Robert Saleh, and they're going to continue to be a run heavy team that they're going to be able to play action and get Garrett Wilson the ball. Garrett Wilson is going to be a very valuable asset. I don't think Aaron Rodgers in the grand scheme of the quarterback landscape is going to have the volume or the talent around. Yeah, he doesn't have the talent around him. He has Garrett Wilson and he has running backs, and that's not going to be enough.
His own style. He wants to milk the play clock, see what the defense is doing, grind out low-scoring games. Like the way he is now is not the way he was 4 or 5 years ago in his MVP season. His style is not conducive to high volume, high scoring fantasy outputs. Like I think he's a 15 to 20 point per game player. I don't think his days of MVPs and high, 50 touchdowns are long gone. This is a slow grind them out style. So I like that one all the way. So, all right. Well, we're getting close on time, so we should probably wrap it up. Thank you for joining me, Tim, and thanks for coming on board and joining the team here. We'll, see you lots this season. I can't remember if you're on tomorrow night or not.
Not tomorrow night. I'm working late.
Well, you probably got a baby coming anyway, so we probably can't count on you there.
Baby number 2 is possibly on the way here pretty soon. So, we'll kind of see how that works out.
I hope it all works out. Good luck to you and the wife, and hopefully everything goes smoothly.
As long as she doesn't come on Sunday, then I'll be happy.
Oh, no. Thursday night at 8:30 is what's happening for you. So. All righty. Well, this has been Rat Pack Fantasy Football, the intro of Tim Riley. I am Aaron St. Dennis, the FF Mad Scientist. Thank you all for joining us. And like I said, tune in to our first live show, the Week 1 preview, Wednesday night, tentatively scheduled for 8 o'clock. Going to work out some details tomorrow morning, and we will have an official launch time. So check us out for that. Thank you, Tim, for joining, and thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Take care and have a great night.